Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Triple H has been doing a wonderful job at the helm of WWE Creative for the last 2 years. The game has managed to shape and refine several factions on both Raw and SmackDown. It seems that the journey of one of those might be coming to an end, as WWE could disband a prominent faction after the Royal Rumble following recent turmoil on Raw. The Judgment Day seems to be on the verge of implosion. The speculations stem from a recent unfortunate incident on this week's Raw. One of the core members of the stable, J.D. McDonough, suffered multiple injuries during the World Tag Team Championship match last night. With the 34-year-old set to be sidelined for a few months, the Judgment Day's future appears to be hanging in the balance. Moreover, Finn Balor, who has served as the anchor of the nefarious group, has been deflated by a series of losses in recent months. The Prince has disappeared into the shadows since his loss to Damian Priest in a street fight on the January 13 edition of Raw. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez have also embarked on a different path, potentially leaving behind the remnants of the Judgment Day. One of the most integral members of the stable, Dominic Mysterio, is also wandering directionless on Monday Night Raw. The faction has completely lost its brotherhood in recent months, lacking the cohesion and unity that was once its hallmark. The only option that seems viable at this point is to break up the group. Therefore, there is a good possibility that Triple H may disband the faction after the Royal Rumble, paving the way for its members to embark on their respective journeys on the main roster. If the King of Kings decides to break up the Judgment Day, it will pose several questions about the future of its members on the main roster. There is a good possibility that the game may decide to switch the brands of some of the members of the group. Following the faction's potential implosion, WWE could easily shuffle the Judgment Day members across Raw and SmackDown. Stars like Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez appeared on SmackDown last week. It was not the first time the duo appeared on the Blue Brand show. Therefore, Triple H could permanently move them to Friday nights via WWE's transfer window. A few weeks ago, Dominic Mysterio was also speculated to be transferred to SmackDown. Therefore, the creative team could finally make that move to kick off his highly anticipated singles run. Meanwhile, Finn Balor is likely to remain on Monday Night Raw, where he will focus on regaining his momentum in the company. J.D. McDonough could also remain on Raw, embarking on a solo run. However, this is nothing but speculation at this point. It remains to be seen what the Triple H-led creative team has in store for the Judgment Day. The WWE Universe has witnessed some of the most iconic factions in professional wrestling history, each with its own legacy. From the Four Horsemen in the NWA to the Shield in WWE, factions have played a key role in shaping the trajectory of WWE storylines. One faction that has had an undeniable impact in recent years is Faction Name, a powerful and influential group that has consistently dominated the roster, but after the Royal Rumble, it seems the group may finally come to an end, with Triple H potentially at the helm of its disbandment. The recent turmoil within the faction has created a perfect storm of conflict and friction, setting the stage for Triple H to make a pivotal decision. As a veteran leader both in-ring and behind the scenes, Triple H has seen it all. He understands the delicate balance that factions must maintain in order to stay strong. But what happens when the cracks begin to show? When loyalty begins to falter and ambition outweighs unity? It's here where Triple H finds himself at a crossroads. The following exploration delves into the possibility of Triple H pulling the trigger on disbanding the faction after the chaos that unfolds at the Royal Rumble. The rise and dominance of Faction Name. In the months leading up to the Royal Rumble, Faction Name had become a dominant force in WWE. The group, led by a charismatic and dangerous leader, had swept through the competition, capturing multiple championships and leaving a trail of defeated rivals in its wake. However, while Faction Name appeared to be unstoppable, cracks in its foundation began to show as members of the faction started to clash with one another over personal ambitions and different visions for the group's future. The faction had once been united by a shared goal, but as time went on, that unity began to wane. The members, each with their own distinct personalities and motivations, found themselves at odds with one another. The leader, once the glue holding the group together, struggled to keep the peace as egos and desires for power began to overshadow loyalty to the faction. As tensions grew, it became increasingly clear that something had to give. The Royal Rumble aftermath, the breaking point. The Royal Rumble is one of the most significant events on the WWE calendar, and this year's edition proved to be a turning point for faction name. The Rumble match itself was full of drama, with members of the faction both working together and competing against one another, each with their own personal stakes. For the first time, the unity that had once defined the group was absent. The leader of faction name was eliminated early, while other members, once loyal soldiers, found themselves involved in heated exchanges and even physical altercations. In the aftermath of the Royal Rumble, Triple H appeared on WWE programming, having already had a backstage hand in the creative direction for the event. He addressed the turmoil surrounding faction name, calling it out as a group that had become too fractured to continue in its current form. Triple H is no stranger to leadership, and his history in WWE is rich with examples of him making bold decisions that have impacted the direction of the company. The following week on WWE television, Triple H made an impromptu appearance to deliver a powerful promo that would set the stage for the potential disbandment of faction names. Standing in the middle of the ring, Triple H spoke to the WWE Universe about the importance of loyalty, unity, and the consequences of unchecked ambition. He then pointed out the factions in WWE history that had endured, often overcoming internal strife and rising above personal interests for the greater good of the group. The message was clear: factions are only as strong as the unity of their members. However, Triple H also acknowledged that there comes a time when even the most powerful factions must dissolve, especially when the very essence of the group is compromised. With a steely gaze, Triple H proclaimed that the time for a faction name had come to an end. He offered each member the chance to prove themselves individually, free from the confines of the faction. He emphasized that it was not a punishment, but a chance for each member to find their own path in WWE. The fallout, chaos and uncertainty. Triple H's decision to disband the faction sent shockwaves through the WWE universe. Fans who had once rallied behind faction name were left stunned by the announcement, and the members of the faction themselves were left grappling with uncertainty. What would their futures look like without the group? Could they survive on their own, or would they be forever defined by their association with the faction? The fallout from Triple H's announcement was immediate. Some members of the faction took the news in stride, eager to carve out their own paths and prove their worth in WWE. Others, however, took the decision as a personal affront, lashing out at Triple H and blaming him for their downfall. The dissolution of the faction became a battleground, with former allies now enemies and former champions now fighting for relevance in a landscape that had already been dominated by larger-than-life personalities. Exploring the motivation behind Triple H's decision. Triple H's decision to disband faction name was not made lightly. As someone who has been deeply involved in the backstage operations of WWE, he is keenly aware of the impact that factions can have on the broader narrative of the company. But what motivated him to make such a bold move at this particular juncture? There are several potential reasons for Triple H's decision. Protecting the legacy of the faction. One of the primary motivations for Triple H could be his desire to protect the legacy of faction name. He may have seen that the group was on the verge of self-destruction, and rather than allowing it to implode in a messy and chaotic way, he chose to end it on his own terms. In doing so, he preserved the faction's reputation and allowed its members to explore new opportunities. Personal ambition of members. Another motivating factor could be the growing personal ambitions of the faction members. Over time, many of the group's members had begun to look out for their own interests, rather than the collective good of the faction. Triple H, who has a deep understanding of how ambition can drive people, may have realized that the infighting within the faction was only going to escalate. By dissolving the group, he hoped to redirect those ambitions into productive solo careers. Shifting WWE's narrative, Triple H has long been known for his ability to adapt and evolve WWE's creative direction. He understands the cyclical nature of the business and knows that factions, no matter how dominant, cannot last forever. By disbanding Faction Name, Triple H could be looking to inject new life into WWE's storytelling by giving the members of the faction individual storylines that will captivate audiences in fresh and unexpected ways. Creating new opportunities. Finally, Triple H may have seen an opportunity to create new stars in WWE. As the leader of NXT, Triple H has always been an advocate for developing young talent and giving wrestlers the opportunity to shine. By breaking up Faction Name, he could be opening the door for the group's members to grow beyond their previous roles and potentially become even bigger stars in their own right. The road ahead, rebuilding and redefining. In the aftermath of Triple H's decision, the question remains, where do the members of Faction Name go from here? How will they rebuild and redefine themselves in the wake of the faction's disbandment? The possibilities are endless for some members. The dissolution could lead to major breakthroughs. Freed from the constraints of the faction, they might develop new personas, pursue new rivalries, and capture titles they never thought possible. For others, the transition could be more difficult. Being part of a dominant faction can be both a blessing and a curse, and the pressure of performing outside the group's shadow could be overwhelming. The WWE Universe will likely witness a series of high-profile matches and feuds as former faction members collide with each other, each determined to prove that they are better off without the group. As the months go on, some of these rivalries could become defining storylines, propelling certain superstars to the top of the card while leaving others to fight for relevance. Meanwhile, Triple H's role in this entire process cannot be understated. As the mastermind behind the disbandment, he will likely continue to shape the direction of the WWE landscape, guiding the former members of Faction Name through their individual journeys. Whether as a mentor, adversary, or backstage force, Triple H's involvement will undoubtedly have a lasting impact on the WWE product. Conclusion: a new era begins. The disbandment of a Faction Name marks the end of an era, but it also signifies the beginning of a new chapter in WWE. With Triple H's decisive action, the faction that once ruled the company has been dismantled, but its legacy will live on in the stories of its former members. What the future holds for these wrestlers remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: Triple H's decision to break up the faction has set the stage for the next great evolution in WWE. As the company continues to evolve, so too will the superstars who once made up Faction Name. Only time will tell who will rise to the top and who will fade into the background, but one thing is for certain: the WWE Universe is in for an exciting ride. Thanks for watching this video, and please subscribe our WWE official YouTube channel for more update news.